Look at this monkey trying to board first class. Probably stole that ticket. Gate agent Patricia Walsh's voice cut through gate B17 like a blade. She made exaggerated scratching gestures, pointing at the boarding pass held by Dr. Amara Johnson. The woman standing before her was impeccably dressed. Tailored navy blazer, leather portfolio, not a hair out of place. But Patricia's theatrical performance drew every eye in the packed departure area. Fellow passengers turned. Phones emerged from pockets. The uncomfortable silence spread like spilled coffee across an expensive carpet. Amara placed her boarding pass on the counter without a word. Her face remained composed, a stark contrast to Patricia's sneering performance. Security guard Derek Thompson crossed his arms, smirking his approval. Have you ever been publicly humiliated by someone who had no idea they were about to destroy their own life? The departure board flashed red. Flight 447 to Chicago, 10 minutes to final boarding. Patricia examined Amara's boarding pass with theatrical suspicion. She held it up to the light, squinting like a detective studying evidence. Her voice carried across the gate area. Ma'am, this seems irregular. Kevin, come verify this. Supervisor Kevin Martinez appeared within seconds. At 28, he carried himself with the swagger of someone who'd never been challenged. He glanced at the boarding pass, then at Amara, his expression shifting to barely concealed disdain. How'd you afford first class? Kevin asked loudly. His question wasn't meant to be answered, it was meant to be heard. The gate area buzzed with whispered conversations. A business traveler named James Brooks leaned toward his wife. This is disgusting, he whispered, but not loudly enough for anyone to hear over Patricia's performance. Patricia's voice rose another octave. People like you are always trying to game the system. Amara's response came quietly, without emotion. What people would that be exactly? You know what I mean, probably using stolen miles or something. Behind the counter, Patricia's confidence grew with each passing second. She'd done this dance before. Make enough noise, create enough doubt, and most passengers would simply walk away. Problem solved. But Amara didn't move. Her Hermes briefcase caught the fluorescent light. For just a moment, an airline executive platinum card became visible in the side pocket. Patricia was too busy performing to notice. Amara's phone buzzed constantly against the counter. The caller ID read, Denver Airport CEO, but she ignored each call. Her calm demeanor seemed to unsettle Patricia, who doubled down on her aggression. Ma'am, we're going to need additional verification, Kevin announced. He spoke like a prosecutor delivering a closing argument. The crowd grew larger. Gate B17 was becoming a theater, and Patricia was the star of her own show. A young woman with purple hair opened her phone's camera app. Her username, @TravelJusticeNow, appeared at the top of her Instagram live stream. Within 30 seconds, she had 47 viewers. Y'all seeing this racist gate agent at Denver Airport? She whispered into her phone. This is absolutely wild. The viewer count climbed, 127, 203, 445. Another passenger, an older businessman, started his own recording. His TikTok account had 12 followers, but this felt important enough to document. Airport janitor Rosa Martinez pushed her cart past the growing crowd. She shook her head and kept working, but her movement slowed. She'd worked at Den for 15 years. She'd seen this before. Rosa happened to be Kevin's aunt, though neither acknowledged the other during work hours. She'd raised him after his parents died. She'd taught him better than this. Patricia's performance reached its crescendo. These people think they can just walk into first class because they put on nice clothes. The Instagram live stream peaked at 1,247 viewers. Comments flooded in. Get her badge number. This is 2025, not 1925. Someone call the news. What airline is this? But scattered among the outrage were different voices. Probably is fraud, TBH. Airport staff just doing their job. People crying racism over everything. Kevin stepped closer to Amara. His voice carried the authority of someone who'd never been told no. "Ma'am, we need to see additional identification. Credit cards, bank statements, proof of income." "Proof of income?" Amara repeated. Her voice remained level, but something flickered behind her eyes. Patricia sensed weakness. "Standard procedure for suspicious purchases." The departure board updated. "Flight 447, 7 minutes to departure." James Brooks finally found his voice. "This is harassment," he called out from the crowd. Patricia whirled around. "Sir, please step back. We're handling a security matter." Security guard Derek Thompson stepped forward, his hand resting on his radio. "Is there a problem here?" "Just some confusion about ticket validity," Kevin replied smoothly. Derek nodded, his posture suggesting he'd be happy to escalate things further. He'd been waiting for some action during his shift. The live stream audience grew, 1,147 viewers across multiple platforms. Someone had started recording from 3 different angles. The incident was becoming its own ecosystem. Amara opened her briefcase with deliberate slowness. Inside, folders were arranged with military precision, a tablet computer, a Montblanc pen, and something else. Something that caught the light for just a moment before disappearing behind other items. Patricia saw her chance. "Ma'am, if you can't provide adequate documentation, we'll need to involve additional security." "Additional security for what?" Amara asked. "Suspected ticket fraud is a federal offense," Kevin added. He was making things up now, riding the wave of his own authority. Rosa Martinez had stopped pretending to work. She stood 20 feet away, watching her nephew destroy his career in real time. She wanted to intervene, but Denver International had strict policies about employee interference. The viewer count on @TravelJusticeNow's stream hit 2,100. Someone in the comments recognized the gate number and airline. Others were already calling Denver Airport's customer service line. Patricia made her final mistake. She reached for Amara's boarding pass, intending to confiscate it. "Ma'am, I'm going to hold on to this until we can verify—" "Don't!" Amara's voice cut through the chaos like a scalpel. For the first time, her composure cracked slightly. The single word carried weight that made Patricia's hand freeze inches from the boarding pass. At that moment, something shifted. The crowd sensed it. The live stream viewers felt it through their screens. Even Derek Thompson took a step back. Amara looked directly at Patricia. Her voice remained quiet, but every word was crystal clear. "You have no idea what you're doing. Flight 447, 7 minutes to departure." The announcement echoed through Gate B-17 as Patricia's hand hovered over Amara's boarding pass. The crowd had swollen to nearly 40 passengers, their phones creating a constellation of recording lights. Derek Thompson stepped closer, his radio crackling to life. "Control, we might need additional units at Gate B-17. "Copy that, Derek. What's the situation?" "Possible ticket fraud. Could escalate." Kevin Martinez felt the momentum building in his favor. He'd handled difficult passengers before. The trick was to overwhelm them with authority until they simply gave up and walked away. "Ma'am, we're calling the airport police," he announced loudly. "This is now a potential criminal matter." The Instagram live stream from @TravelJusticeNow had climbed to 3,200 viewers. Comments scrolled past faster than anyone could read. "Call the news." "This is insane." "Get a lawyer, girl." "Denver Airport equals racist." "What's her name? Someone find out who she is." A new live stream started from a different angle. @Flight Delay Drama had 890 followers and new viral content when he saw it. His stream pulled in 400 viewers within the first minute. 3 more passengers began recording from strategic positions around the gate. The incident was becoming its own media ecosystem, with multiple camera angles capturing every word and gesture. A teenager with bright blue hair started her TikTok live stream. "Y'all, this is absolutely unhinged," she whispered to her phone. "The gate agent just called this woman a monkey and now they're calling the police?" Her followers began sharing the stream link across Discord servers and Reddit threads. The story was spreading beyond airport walls into college campuses and social justice forums. Shift manager Carol Henderson arrived with the purposeful stride of someone accustomed to solving problems quickly. At 52, she'd worked her way up from baggage handling to management. She trusted her staff's judgment implicitly. "What do we have here?" Carol asked, surveying the scene. Patricia's voice pitched higher with vindication. "Suspected fraudulent ticket purchase. The customer became aggressive when we asked for verification." Carol looked at Amara, still standing calmly behind the counter, then at the crowd of passengers recording everything. Her jaw tightened. The last thing Denver International needed was another viral incident. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to step aside while we sort this out," Carol said to Amara. "Airport policy requires us to investigate any suspicious activity." "Suspicious based on what criteria?" Amara asked. Carol's patience thinned. "Based on our staff's professional assessment and standard security protocols." The crowd murmured disapproval. James Brooks stepped forward, his business card holder visible in his shirt pocket. "This is racial profiling, plain and simple." "Sir, please step back or security will escort you away," Derek Thompson warned, his hand moving to his radio. Chen's wife tugged his arm, pulling him back into the crowd. He wanted to help, but not at the cost of missing their own flight to his daughter's graduation. An elderly white woman in the crowd watched with growing discomfort. She'd flown first class monthly for her cancer treatments. No one had ever questioned her ticket validity or demanded additional documentation. Rosa Martinez watched from her position near the windows. Her nephew Kevin was digging himself deeper with every word. She'd seen this pattern before: authority without wisdom, power without restraint. 23 years of cleaning Denver International's floors had taught her to recognize trouble before it exploded. The viewer count across all live streams hit 5,800. #Denver Airport. Racism began trending in Colorado. Someone with 50,000 Twitter followers had retweeted the Instagram Live link with the caption, "This is America 2025. Nothing has changed." Local news producer Janet Kim received 3 notifications about the trending hashtag. She dispatched a camera crew within minutes. Amara's phone buzzed again. This time she glanced at the screen. The caller ID read Michael Torres, Den CEO. She declined the call with a slight shake of her head. Patricia interpreted this as weakness. "See? Probably can't even answer her own phone because it's stolen too." The accusation drew audible gasps from the crowd. Several passengers shook their heads in disgust. One woman loudly stated, "This is disgusting." Carol made her decision. "Ma'am, we need to search your luggage for verification of identity and payment method. Standard procedure for suspected fraud." "Standard for whom?" Amara asked quietly. "For anyone we suspect of fraudulent activity." The live stream comments exploded. "Lawsuit! This is America in 2025, y'all. Someone needs to lose their job. Where are the white people being searched?" Recording everything for the lawsuit. Airport police officer Maria Santos arrived, her radio crackling with dispatch updates. She surveyed the scene. One black woman surrounded by 3 airport employees and a security guard, with dozens of passengers recording everything from multiple angles. Santos recognized the setup immediately. 12 years as a police officer had taught her to spot situations that would end badly for everyone involved. "What's the situation?" Santos asked Carol, her voice professionally neutral. "Suspected ticket fraud, customer refusing to cooperate with standard verification procedures." Santos looked at Amara, noting her expensive clothing, professional demeanor, and complete lack of aggression. Red flags began waving in her mind. "Ma'am, can you provide additional identification beyond what's typically required for boarding?" Santos asked carefully. Amara's voice remained steady. "I've provided everything legally mandated for air travel. Nothing more is required under TSA regulations." Santos paused. The woman knew transportation law. That was unusual for typical travelers, but common among people who flew frequently for business. The departure board updated. Flight 447, 4 minutes to final boarding. Kevin pressed his advantage, sensing Santos's hesitation. Officer, she became hostile and aggressive when we tried to examine her documentation more thoroughly. That's completely false, James Brooks called out from the crowd. She's been completely calm and professional this entire time. A chorus of passenger voices echoed Brooks's statement. She never raised her voice. The gate agent was the one being aggressive. We all saw what really happened. Derek Thompson turned toward the crowd. Everyone needs to back up and disperse or we'll clear the entire gate area. This is public space, Brooks replied. We have a right to witness this. The situation was spiraling beyond Patricia's control. What started as routine harassment was becoming a public spectacle with thousands of online witnesses. But she was too deep to back down now. Ma'am, if you can't prove this ticket is legitimate through additional verification, Carol began. Oh, I can prove much more than that, Amara said quietly. Something in her tone made everyone pause. For the first time since this began, Patricia felt a flicker of genuine uncertainty. Amara opened her briefcase with deliberate, measured movements. Inside, folders were arranged with corporate precision. Her iPad sat in a custom leather sleeve. A portfolio contained what looked like official legal documents with government seals. The live stream audience peaked at 12,400 viewers across 7 different platforms. Someone had called Channel 7 News. Another person was live tweeting the incident with play-by-play updates that were being retweeted hundreds of times per minute. Rosa Martinez made a decision. She pushed her cleaning cart closer, pretending to empty nearby trash cans. If this went badly, and every instinct told her it was about to go very badly, she wanted to be close enough to help somehow. Patricia noticed the expensive briefcase contents but doubled down. Probably fake papers, too, she muttered, though her voice lacked its earlier confidence. Amara pulled out her iPad and powered it on. The Apple logo appeared, followed by a lock screen wallpaper that made Kevin's eyes widen in confusion. It was a photo of Amara shaking hands with the Colorado governor at what looked like an official ceremony. A banner behind them read, Infrastructure Excellence Award 2024. Kevin blinked, trying to process what he was seeing. Patricia was too focused on maintaining her performance to notice the photo. Ma'am, we don't have time for photo albums, Carol said impatiently. We need official documentation, not personal pictures. Amara's finger moved across the iPad screen. She opened what appeared to be a secure portal, something that looked far more sophisticated than any typical airline or travel app. The login screen displayed Denver International Airport, Administrative Access Portal. Patricia finally looked at the screen. Her expression began to change from confidence to confusion. Officer Santos stepped closer. She could see the iPad clearly now. This wasn't a passenger app or personal device. This was some kind of official administrative system. Ma'am, Santos said carefully, what type of access portal is that? Amara looked up from her screen. For the first time since this ordeal began, she smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. The kind that's about to change everything. Flight 447, 4 minutes to departure. The portal is loaded with corporate efficiency. Amara's fingers moved across the iPad screen with practiced precision, navigating through security levels that clearly weren't meant for public access. Patricia watched the screen, her bravado wavering. What exactly is that supposed to be? Amara didn't look up. Emergency protocols, something I hoped I'd never need to use. She typed rapidly. Code Red Incident Report, Gate B17, Discrimination Protocol activated. Kevin stepped closer, trying to read the screen. His face went pale as he recognized the official Denver International Airport logo and administrative formatting. That's not possible, he stammered. Officer Santos positioned herself where she could see the iPad clearly. What she saw made her hand instinctively move toward her radio. The interface displayed real-time airport operations data, flight schedules, security alerts, staff assignments. This wasn't something a regular passenger could access. The live stream audience noticed the official interface immediately. Comments exploded across multiple platforms. What is that screen? That's not a regular app. OMG, she has admin access. Airport Insider? A new live stream from @Denver Airport Daily joined the coverage, adding another 800 viewers. The hashtag #DenverAirport Racism was trending in 3 states now. Amara pulled up another screen. Board of Directors Emergency Contact List. She scrolled through names until she found Michael Torres, Chief Executive Officer. Patricia's voice cracked. Wait, what are you? Calling the boss, Amara said simply. Kevin's supervisor training kicked in. He recognized the name Torres. Every airport employee knew the CEO. But why would a random passenger have his direct contact information? Carol Henderson stepped closer, trying to see the screen. What she glimpsed made her stomach drop. Official contact lists, administrative access levels, real-time operational data. The live stream comments exploded as viewers caught glimpses of the official-looking interface. OMG, what is that? Is she airport security? Plot twist of the century. That looks like admin access. Someone find out who she is. @Travel Justice. Now's stream hit 4,200 viewers. She whispered urgently into her phone. Y'all, I think this woman works for the airport or something. This is about to get real. Amara tapped Torres's contact information. The call connected on the first ring. Dr. Johnson, thank God you answered. I've been trying to reach... Amara put the call on speaker. Torres's voice filled the gate area, clear enough for the live stream microphones to pick up. Michael, we have a situation at Gate B17. Your staff just subjected me to public humiliation based on racial profiling. Silence stretched across the phone line. Carol Henderson's face drained of color as she recognized the CEO's voice. Her 22 years at Denver International had taught her to recognize trouble, but this was beyond anything she'd experienced. Dr. Johnson, What happened? Are you injured? Physically? No. But your gate agent called me a monkey in front of dozens of passengers. On camera. It's streaming live to thousands of people right now. Patricia's legs nearly gave out. She grabbed the counter for support, her mind racing to process what she was hearing. The CEO was calling this woman Dr. Johnson, with a level of deference she'd never heard before. Torres's voice carried the weight of someone watching his career collapse in real time. Oh my God. Dr. Johnson, I am so deeply sorry. Which employees were involved? Amara looked directly at Patricia. Gate agent Patricia Walsh, supervisor Kevin Martinez, shift manager Carol Henderson, and security guard Derek Thompson. All of them are suspended immediately, Torres said without hesitation. Security will escort them out. Dr. Johnson, please don't make any decisions until I can speak with you in person. The live stream audience erupted. CEO just fired them all. Who is Dr. Johnson? They're getting escorted out. Karma is beautiful. Carol found her voice, desperation creeping in. Sir, this is Carol Henderson. We were following standard fraud prevention protocols. Standard fraud prevention? Torres's voice boomed through the speaker. Do you have any idea who you're talking to? The crowd pressed closer. Rosa Martinez abandoned all pretense of working and stood with the passengers, watching her nephew's world crumble. 23 years of airport experience had taught her to recognize when someone was about to lose everything. A businessman in the crowd started a new recording angle. His wife tugged his sleeve, whispering, "Don't get involved." But he shook his head. This is history happening right here. Kevin's voice was barely a whisper. Who? Who is she? Torres answered for him, his voice heavy with the weight of catastrophic revelation. Dr. Amara Johnson is the chairman of the Johnson Foundation. They provide $1.2 billion in annual infrastructure grants. Denver International receives 47% of our operational funding through Johnson Foundation partnerships. The silence that followed was deafening. Even the live stream comments paused for a moment before exploding into digital chaos. Billionaire philanthropist. Airport just messed with the wrong one. $1.2 billion. Karma is real. They're all getting fired. Called a billionaire a monkey. Patricia sank into her chair behind the counter. The monkey comment. The ticket accusations. The theatrical suspicion. All directed at someone who essentially funded their paychecks. A college student in the crowd started crying. She'd been recording everything on her phone, and the weight of witnessing such raw injustice, followed by such swift justice, overwhelmed her. James Brooks turned to his wife. Do you understand what just happened? They racially profiled someone who could shut down this entire airport. His wife nodded grimly. They didn't just attack a person. They attacked their own livelihoods. Amara continued typing on her iPad. New screens appeared. Financial dashboards showing millions of dollars in annual transfers to Denver International Airport. Real numbers, real contracts, real power. Michael, I'm looking at our funding agreements right now. Section 12.3 specifically addresses diversity and inclusion requirements. Yes, ma'am. The anti-discrimination clauses, which your staff just violated spectacularly, in public, on live stream. Officer Santos stepped back from the group. This was beyond airport jurisdiction now. This was corporate disaster management. She'd need to call her supervisor immediately. Derek Thompson tried to retreat toward the terminal corridor, but Santos caught his arm. Stay put. This isn't over. Derek's face was pale. His security training had covered de-escalation, crowd control, and emergency response. It had never covered what to do when you've just helped humiliate someone who controls your employer's budget. Amara pulled up another screen, a contact list labeled Legal Department, Johnson Foundation. She selected a name. Jennifer Walsh, Senior Legal Counsel. Wait, Patricia gasped, recognition dawning. Walsh? That's my sister. Amara paused her typing. Your sister works for us? Patricia nodded miserably. She's head of your legal department. The irony wasn't lost on the live stream audience. Comments poured in about cosmic justice and family dinner conversations. Her sister works for the victim. Family dinner's gonna be awkward. Universe has a sense of humor. Plot twist on top of plot twist. Rosa Martinez shook her head in disbelief. She'd cleaned office buildings long enough to understand corporate hierarchies. Her nephew had just racially profiled his ultimate boss's boss's boss. Amara dialed Jennifer Walsh's number. The call connected immediately. Dr. Johnson, I'm watching the live stream. Oh my God, that's my sister Patricia. Jennifer's voice carried professional mortification mixed with personal horror. I am so deeply sorry. This is beyond inexcusable. Jennifer, I need you to pull our Denver airport contracts. All of them. I want a full legal review of our options by morning. Already on it. Dr. Johnson, I have to ask, are you planning to withdraw funding? Amara looked around the gate area. 40-plus passengers were hanging on every word. Thousands more were watching online. Her next words would determine the fate of jobs, contracts, and an entire airport's financial future. That depends entirely on Denver International's response in the next 10 minutes. Torres's voice returned to the speaker, desperation clear. Dr. Johnson, I'm personally driving to the airport right now. Please don't make any irreversible decisions until... Michael, I'm not the one who made this irreversible. Your staff did that when they decided to humiliate me in public. Amara pulled up a new screen. Emergency board meeting. Crisis management protocol. With a few taps, she sent meeting requests to 12 board members. Subject line, immediate review of all Denver International Airport partnerships due to racial discrimination incident. Kevin finally found his voice. Dr. Johnson, we didn't know. Amara looked at him with cold precision. You didn't know because you didn't care to know. You saw a black woman and immediately assumed fraud. That's the definition of racial profiling. She turned to Patricia. You called me a monkey, on camera, in front of dozens of witnesses. That comment is now permanently archived on multiple platforms. Patricia began crying. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean... You meant every word. The question is, what are you going to do about it now? The departure board flashed. Flight 447, 2 minutes to final boarding. Amara's second phone buzzed. The caller ID read Colorado Governor's Office. That'll be Governor Martinez, Amara said calmly. Someone probably called him about the trending hashtags. She answered the call. Governor, yes, I'm fine. No one was physically hurt, but we need to discuss Denver Airport's federal funding compliance. The live stream comments went wild. She's talking to the governor. This woman is untouchable. Airport staff picked the wrong one. Level 100 boss fight. Carol Henderson tried one last desperate play. Dr. Johnson, surely we can resolve this internally. Internally? Amara's voice sharpened. You made this public when your employee called me a monkey in front of cameras. There is no internal anymore. She pulled up one final screen on her iPad. Emergency contact, Federal Aviation Administration. You see, Carol, racial discrimination in transportation isn't just a corporate policy violation. It's a federal crime under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Officer Santos nodded grimly. She'd been wondering when federal jurisdiction would enter the conversation. Amara continued typing. I'm filing formal complaints with the FAA, the Department of Transportation, and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, all citing today's incident. Kevin collapsed into a nearby chair. His 28 years had never prepared him for anything like this. Rosa Martinez finally approached the group. Kevin, mijo, what have you done? Kevin looked up at his aunt, the woman who'd raised him, taught him right from wrong, worked 2 jobs to put him through college. Tia Rosa, I messed up. I messed up so bad. Rosa shook her head sadly. Yes, you did. And now you have to face it. Amara closed the iPad and placed it back in her briefcase. She looked around the gate area, at the cameras still recording, the passengers still watching, the airport employees whose careers had just ended. There's one more thing, she said quietly. She pulled out a small device that looked like a remote control. This is a direct line to the Johnson Foundation's communications department. One press of this button, and our PR team issues a statement to every major news outlet in the country. Patricia's sister Jennifer's voice came through the phone speaker. Dr. Johnson, please, give us a chance to make this right. Amara held the device where everyone could see it. You have 60 seconds to convince me that Denver International Airport deserves to keep Johnson Foundation funding. The live stream viewer count hit 22,000. This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. Starting now, Torres's voice crackled through the speaker with desperate urgency. Dr. Johnson, I'm implementing immediate termination procedures for all involved staff. Full severance packages revoked. They'll be escorted from the property within the hour. That's a start, Amara replied coolly. What else? She opened a new screen on her iPad. Denver International Airport, Financial Dashboard. Numbers filled the display. Revenue streams, operational costs, federal funding allocations. Real data that made Kevin's remaining color drain completely. Let me share some numbers with everyone listening, Amara said, angling the iPad toward the live stream cameras. Denver International Airport's annual passenger revenue, $2.8 billion. The crowd leaned in. Patricia stared at the screen from her chair, finally understanding the magnitude of her mistake. Federal grants tied to diversity compliance, $847 million annually. Johnson Foundation infrastructure partnerships, $412 million per year. Corporate sponsor relationships facilitated through our network, $156 million. Torres's voice was barely controlled by panic. Dr. Johnson, please. I'm not finished, Michael. Amara scrolled through more data. Your airport employs 35,000 people directly. Another 47,000 jobs depend on airport operations. One discrimination lawsuit settled last year for $2.3 million. 3 pending complaints with the EEOC. Officer Santos took notes on her phone. These weren't just numbers. They were legal evidence of systemic problems. Carol Henderson stepped forward, her voice shaking. Dr. Johnson, I take full responsibility. I should have questioned my staff's judgment. I should have recognized inappropriate behavior when I saw it. Why didn't you? Amara asked. Carol struggled for words. I trusted their assessment without examining the situation myself. That was my failure as a manager. More than a failure, a choice. You chose to support racial profiling because it was easier than thinking critically. The live stream comments reflected the gravity of the moment. $2.8 billion. She's dropping receipts. Those numbers are insane. Airport is finished. Kevin looked up from his chair, tears streaming down his face. Dr. Johnson, there's no excuse for what I did. I let my assumptions override my training. I let prejudice cloud my judgment. He turned to his Aunt Rosa. Tia, you taught me better than this. You worked so hard to give me opportunities, and I threw it all away for what? To feel important? To have power over someone? Rosa's eyes filled with tears, but she remained silent. This was her nephew's moment to face consequences. Amara pulled up another screen. Legal Compliance Review, Title VI Civil Rights Act. She read aloud, No person shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program receiving federal financial assistance. Your airport receives $847 million in federal assistance annually, Michael. Your staff just violated federal law on livestream. Torres's voice cracked. What do you need from us? What can we do to make this right? Jennifer? Amara addressed her legal counsel through the speaker. What are our options under contract law? Jennifer Walsh's voice was grimly professional. Section 15.2 of our partnership agreement allows immediate withdrawal for cause. Subsection C specifically covers discrimination incidents. We have unilateral termination rights. Patricia finally spoke, her voice broken. Dr. Johnson, what I said was unforgivable. The monkey comment. There's no excuse, no justification. I was cruel and racist, and I did it deliberately. She looked directly at the live stream cameras. I want everyone watching to know this is what racism looks like. This is what happens when someone thinks they can treat another human being as less than human because of their skin color. Amara studied Patricia's face. Why now? Why are you apologizing now that you know who I am? Because I should have apologized the moment I said it. Money and power shouldn't determine whether someone deserves basic human respect. The live stream audience hit 28,000 viewers across all platforms. Hashtag Denver Airport Racism was trending nationally now. Major news outlets were picking up the story. Jennifer Walsh continued her legal analysis. Dr. Johnson, I'm drafting a comprehensive response plan. Mandatory sensitivity training for all staff, third-party diversity auditing, monthly reporting to your foundation. And financial accountability? Amara asked. A dedicated fund, $5 million, for diversity and inclusion programs at Denver International, administered by the Johnson Foundation to ensure proper implementation. Torres added quickly, We'll also establish a passenger rights ombudsman position, direct reporting to both airport administration and your foundation. Amara opened another screen. Johnson Foundation, Crisis Response Protocol. She typed rapidly, each keystroke echoing through the silent gate area. Michael, you mentioned immediate termination. Let's discuss specifics. Patricia Walsh, terminated for racial harassment. Kevin Martinez, terminated for discrimination and abuse of authority. Derek Thompson, terminated for failure to protect passenger rights. Derek had been silent until now. He finally spoke up. Dr. Johnson, I should have intervened when I saw what was happening. Instead, I encouraged it. I was ready to escalate force against someone who'd done nothing wrong. He unclipped his radio and security badge, placing them on the counter. I don't deserve to work in security if I can't tell the difference between a threat and a passenger. The crowd of passengers had grown to nearly 70 people. Other flights were boarding around them, but passengers from those flights stopped to watch the unfolding corporate crisis. A teenage girl with her phone raised called out, "Dr. Johnson, what would you tell young black girls watching this right now?" Amara looked directly at the camera. I'd tell them that education is power, economic independence is freedom, and when someone tries to diminish you because of your race, you have choices about how to respond. She held up the communications device she'd shown earlier. Violence isn't the answer, revenge isn't the answer, but accountability, system change, those are definitely answers. Torres's voice grew more desperate. Dr. Johnson, we'll implement everything immediately. Full transparency, public reporting of all diversity metrics, whatever it takes to maintain our partnership. Prove it, Amara said. Give me specifics. 24-hour implementation timeline, emergency board meeting tonight. Public apology issued within 2 hours. New harassment reporting system operational by tomorrow morning. Jennifer Walsh added, legal review of all personnel files for patterns of discriminatory behavior. Mandatory retraining for every customer-facing employee. Zero tolerance policy with immediate termination consequences. Amara consulted her watch. Flight 447 boards in 90 seconds. I need decisions now, not promises. She pulled up a contract termination form on her iPad. One signature ends $412 million in annual funding. Are you giving me reasons not to sign? The live stream comments were moving too fast to read. Sign it. They deserve to lose funding. Give them a chance. Systematic change takes time. Carol Henderson made one final attempt. Dr. Johnson, I've managed staff for 15 years. I know good people from bad people. Patricia made a terrible mistake, but she's not evil. Kevin let power corrupt his judgment, but he can learn from this. What about the culture that enabled this? What about the system that made them think this was acceptable? That's on me. That's leadership. We created an environment where bias could flourish unchecked. Rosa Martinez approached Amara directly. Dr. Johnson, my nephew made a terrible mistake. But he's not a bad person. He's young and stupid and drunk on a little bit of power. What are you asking me to do, Rosa? Give him a chance to learn from this, to become better, to use this experience to help other people understand why what he did was wrong. Amara considered Rosa's words. You've worked here for how long? 23 years. Seeing a lot of good people make bad choices. I've seen some bad people make good choices too. The departure board updated. Flight 447, final boarding call, gate closing in 90 seconds. Amara looked around the gate area one final time. 70 passengers watching. 28,000 people streaming online. National news crews en route. The weight of institutional change balanced on her next decision. She opened the contract termination form. The signature field waited, cursor blinking. Torres's voice was barely a whisper. Dr. Johnson? Here's what's going to happen, Amara said finally. Patricia Walsh, Kevin Martinez, and Derek Thompson are terminated immediately. Carol Henderson will serve a 6-month suspension without pay, followed by reassignment to entry-level customer service with mandatory supervision. She turned to Torres's voice on the speaker. Michael, you have 72 hours to submit a comprehensive reform plan. If it meets Johnson Foundation standards, we'll continue our partnership under enhanced oversight. And if it doesn't meet your standards? Torres asked quietly. Then Denver International Airport loses $412 million in annual funding, and I personally ensure that every major foundation in the country knows why. Patricia stood slowly from her chair. Dr. Johnson, thank you for not destroying my sister's career, too. Jennifer's a good person who works for a good organization. She doesn't deserve to suffer for my actions. Amara nodded. Your sister will be conducting the legal review of Denver's compliance. I trust her to be thorough and fair. The final boarding announcement echoed through the gate. Flight 447 to Chicago, final call for all passengers. Amara picked up her boarding pass, the same piece of paper that had started this entire incident. She looked at it thoughtfully. "You know what the irony is?" she said to the remaining crowd. "I was flying to Chicago to announce a new billion-dollar initiative for transportation equity, making sure incidents like this become impossible through systematic change." She walked toward the boarding gate, then paused. Now it's not just an initiative. It's a mission. Amara boarded Flight 447 to a standing ovation from passengers who had witnessed the entire confrontation. The applause echoed through the jet bridge as she found her first-class seat, the same seat Patricia had questioned just 30 minutes earlier. Within hours, the consequences rippled across Denver International Airport like a digital earthquake. Patricia Walsh was escorted from the property by 8:47 p.m., her employee badge confiscated, her locker contents packed into a cardboard box. Security cameras captured her final walk through the terminal she'd worked in for 6 years. Kevin Martinez met the same fate 40 minutes later. Rosa Martinez watched from the cleaning supply closet as her nephew handed over his supervisor credentials. She didn't approach him. Some lessons had to be learned alone. Derek Thompson's termination was swift and public. Airport security removing a security guard created its own viral moment, meta-irony that the internet devoured eagerly. Carol Henderson's suspension began immediately. Her office was sealed, her computer access revoked, her management responsibilities redistributed. 15 years of climbing the corporate ladder undone by 30 minutes of poor judgment. By 11 p.m., Denver International Airport CEO Michael Torres held an emergency press conference in the main terminal. Local news crews had arrived within 2 hours of the trending hashtags. National outlets followed by evening. "Today, Denver International Airport failed one of our passengers in the most fundamental way possible," Torres began, his voice heavy with corporate contrition. "Dr. Amara Johnson, a valued partner and respected member of our community, was subjected to racist harassment by our staff." He looked directly into the cameras. "There is no excuse, no justification, no acceptable explanation for what happened at Gate B17 today." The Johnson Foundation's response came at midnight, a precisely worded statement that legal teams had crafted in record time. The Johnson Foundation acknowledges Denver International Airport's immediate response to today's discrimination incident. "We are implementing enhanced oversight protocols for all transportation partnerships, effective immediately. Funding relationships will continue under strict compliance monitoring." But the real changes began the next morning. At 6 a.m., every Denver International employee received an emergency email. Mandatory sensitivity training, all staff, no exceptions. The training modules were already live, developed overnight by the Johnson Foundation's diversity consultants. The new passenger rights ombudsman position was posted by 8 a.m. Applications flooded in from civil rights attorneys, former EEOC investigators, and community advocates. The salary, funded entirely by Denver International's accountability budget, was competitive enough to attract serious candidates. Dr. Amara Johnson's Chicago conference speech that afternoon became the most watched transportation industry presentation in history. Standing before 800 infrastructure leaders, she announced the Dignity in Transit Initiative, a billion-dollar program to eliminate discrimination across America's transportation networks. "Yesterday at Denver International Airport, I experienced firsthand why this initiative is necessary," she told the rapt audience. "But I also witnessed why it will succeed. When economic accountability meets moral courage, systems change." The video of her speech garnered 1.2 million views in 48 hours. 3 days later, the Airport Watch app launched across 12 major airports. Passengers could report discrimination incidents with one-click video upload. Real-time staff performance tracking tied directly to employment reviews. Anonymous complaints routed instantly to ombudsman offices. The app's first week generated 847 downloads and 23 incident reports, ranging from minor rudeness to potential civil rights violations. Each report triggered immediate investigation protocols. Denver International's transformation accelerated. New hiring practices prioritized cultural competency alongside technical skills. Customer service scripts were rewritten to eliminate subjective judgment calls about passenger legitimacy. The $5 million diversity fund launched with measurable goals, reduced discrimination complaints by 75% within 6 months, achieve 90% employee satisfaction in bias training evaluations, implement monthly community partnership programs. Rosa Martinez received an unexpected promotion to Facility Services Supervisor, the first custodial worker in Denver International history to advance to management. Her 23 years of observation had taught her more about airport operations than most executives understood. Mrs. Martinez knows this place better than anyone, Torres explained to the board of directors. She's seen what works and what doesn't. She's watched good people make bad choices. Her perspective is exactly what we need in leadership. Rosa's first initiative was revolutionary. Monthly listening sessions, where custodial staff could report observations about employee behavior. The cleaning crew saw everything. They knew which staff members treated passengers with respect and which ones didn't. Patricia Walsh found herself unemployable in the airline industry. Background checks revealed the Denver incident within minutes of application submissions. She moved back with her parents in suburban Colorado, spending her days reflecting on 15 seconds that destroyed her career. Her sister Jennifer continued leading the Johnson Foundation's legal department, but family dinners became exercises in awkward silence. Kevin Martinez enrolled in community college courses on diversity and inclusion. His Aunt Rosa had made it clear, if he wanted redemption, he needed education. The young man who'd felt powerful harassing passengers now studied the psychology of bias and the history of civil rights. Derek Thompson started working construction. His security career permanently ended. The uniform that once gave him authority over others had been replaced by a hard hat and the humility of starting over. The live stream that started it all, at Travel Justice Now's original Instagram Live, became required viewing in the Johnson Foundation's diversity training program. Nearly 400,000 views turned 30 minutes of racism into an educational tool for change. Most importantly, discrimination complaints at Denver International dropped 68% within 6 months. The combination of enhanced training, economic accountability, and cultural transformation created measurable progress. Other airports began requesting Johnson Foundation partnerships, eager to implement similar oversight programs. The Denver model became a case study in business schools and civil rights organizations nationwide. Real change, it turned out, was possible when moral courage met economic leverage. 6 months later, Dr. Amara Johnson returned to Denver International Airport. This time, her arrival was very different. Gate agent Maria Santos, Patricia's replacement, greeted her with professional courtesy and genuine warmth. Dr. Johnson, welcome back to Denver. Your flight to Chicago is on time, and we've prepared priority boarding for you. No questioned tickets, no demanded documentation, no theatrical suspicion. The transformation was visible everywhere. New diversity posters lined the terminal walls. Staff wore badges reading, "Dignity in Transit Champion." The Passenger Rights Ombudsman's office occupied premium real estate near the main security checkpoint. Rosa Martinez, now Facility Services Supervisor, spotted Amara near Gate B17, the same gate where everything had changed. She approached with a smile. "Dr. Johnson, thank you for coming back. Thank you for giving us a chance to become better." "How's Kevin doing?" Amara asked. "He's good, really good. Finished his diversity counseling program. He volunteers at community centers now, teaching kids about respect and equality. Says he wants to spend his life making sure no one else makes his mistakes." Amara nodded approvingly. "Redemption through service. That's exactly what I hoped for." The Airport Watch app had processed 2,147 incident reports across participating airports. Most were resolved through immediate coaching and retraining. The few serious cases resulted in terminations and civil rights investigations. Denver International's success story inspired 23 other airports to implement similar oversight programs. The Johnson Foundation's Transportation Equity Initiative expanded to train stations, bus terminals, and subway systems nationwide. These are the real-life stories that matter. When one person refuses to accept discrimination, when economic power meets moral courage, entire systems can change. Black stories like Dr. Johnson's remind us that dignity isn't negotiable, and justice doesn't always require courtrooms. Sometimes it requires balance sheets. This touching story proves that real change happens not through violence or revenge, but through strategic accountability. Dr. Johnson's calm response transformed a moment of humiliation into a movement for systemic reform. Her story joins countless other life stories of Black excellence meeting racist assumptions and turning those moments into opportunities for education and change. From airports to corporate boardrooms, these real-life stories continue shaping a more equitable America. The most powerful weapon against discrimination isn't anger, it's preparation. Dr. Johnson's education, economic independence, and strategic thinking turned 30 minutes of racism into decades of institutional change. Patricia Walsh never worked in customer service again. Kevin Martinez became a diversity trainer. Derek Thompson learned humility through hard labor. Carol Henderson spent her suspension studying unconscious bias before returning as a better manager. But the real victory belonged to every passenger who would never again face what Dr. Johnson experienced at Gate B-17. Your turn to make a difference. Have you witnessed discrimination in airports, hotels, or restaurants? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience matters, and your voice can inspire change. Does this story motivate you to research who funds the businesses you support? Economic accountability works when consumers demand better. Ready for more stories of quiet heroes creating loud change? Subscribe to Black Soul Stories and hit the notification bell. Every week we uncover another person who refused to stay silent and changed everything. Share this video if you believe dignity isn't negotiable, no matter where you travel. Your share could prevent someone else from experiencing what Dr. Johnson endured. Next week, hotel manager called police on Black doctor, then learned she owned the building. Because these stories need to be told, because change happens when we remember that behind every headline is a human being who chose courage over silence. Subscribe to Black Soul Stories. Share the power of dignity. Change happens one story at a time.